everyone here is a Mets fan. I see a lot of Mets here. Is there any Yankees fans? Okay, that's okay. We got some Yankees. He did play for the Yankees, so we got to acknowledge as well. No Cleveland Guardians, Devil Rays, Houston Astros fans. He only pitched once for, I think, the Houston Astros. So, as Keith said, my name is Anthony Rivera. I host the Subway to Shea podcast, which you can catch on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. I'm lucky enough to be hosting this event today. Just a quick shout out, and if we could give an applause to Keith, the Media Goon, and the QBC for putting this event together. They always put together great events, so appreciate them putting this together and asking me to host here. Now, I know that we're going to be getting Doc in a few minutes, so I'm going to be starting to ask him questions. And then I like you as well. There's a microphone up there. If you have any questions you want to ask him yourself, come up. We're going to make this as interactive as possible. All right. All right. So we should be getting started in just a few minutes. You guys can hear me okay back there, right? Good? Okay, good. As we wait, who's excited for this season coming up? Mets baseball, Yankee baseball. Juan Soto is here. Do we think that they are getting into the postseason? We're going back to the postseason? Getting back to NLCS? Good. There he is.
You guys ready for the season? All Met fans, right?
We got Yankee fans here too. We got some Yankee fans. Yeah. There you go, Yankee fan.
He's a Yankee fan?
Yeah.
You guys let him in? That's all good. Yes. Good to see you guys. Thank you guys for having me. Good to be here today.
Well, we got to go through the accolades, right? 1984 Rookie of the Year, 1985 NL Cy Young, 4-time All-Star, 2-time World Champion with the 1986 Mets, most importantly. There you go. We have not only in the Mets Hall of Fame, but his number is retired in the, can I say the rafters of Citi Field? Is that right? I can say that? In the rafters of Citi Field, number 16, the Doctor, Dwight Gooden. Now, Doc, I would love to go in chronological order, but I want to go a different route here because I was born November 14th, 1986. So I did not get to see the World Championship. My first experience of seeing you pitch was July 8th, 2000. It was your return to Shea Stadium as a member of the New York Yankees. You won that game. The Yankees won 4-2. Take us through that, the emotions of coming back to Shea Stadium and, you know, that whole process that went through with that.
Can you guys hear me okay? So, like you said, like you mentioned earlier, I'm always going to be a Met. I'm only saying that because I'm going to take you guys through the journey, how that game was. So, in 94, I got suspended from baseball. Mets want to cut ties. I wanted to make it right for you guys. I didn't want to go out on that note that I went out on. So the Yankees, I hated the Yankees. I hated the Yankees. Not literally, but cross town rivalries. Just hate the Yankees. And I could never picture myself in a Yankee uniform. But Mr. Steinbrenner knew my dad from being in Tampa, and since the Mets want to cut ties, I want to see New York. My nephew Gary Sheffield was with the Marlins. I went and threw for the Marlins a little bit. I had an opportunity. I did a handshake with Don Dabrowski, who was the general manager at the time, and we had agreement. But then Steinbrenner came in toward the end and said, "Hey, we want to bring you to the Yankees." So I only hope I have the Marlins and the Yankees. I want to make it right with you guys. So obviously I took the Yankee deal. And I'm gonna get to the point what you said in 2000. So signed with the Yankees, 96, 97. After the 97 season, I called the Mets. Steve Phillips, the general manager at the time. And I'm not taking shots at him or anything like that, because then you guys know how it went. And he said, "Unfortunately, we got no room. We wish you all the best." 98 and 99, I signed the Cleveland Indians. Pitched pretty well. After the 99 season, I called the Mets again. Say, "Any chance I can come back? What are we gonna do?" Again, he said, "Unfortunately, we're having a room. Wish you all the best." So in 2000, I signed with the Houston Astros. I pitched one game. I get traded to Tampa. I pitched 8 games, and I get released. Call the Mets again. I said, "Any room, I'll come back. I'll go to AAA. I'll do whatever. I just want to finish my career with the Mets." Fortunately, we have no room. I sat home for about a month. I thought my career was over. And by me living in Tampa at the time, and the Yankees having spring training in Tampa, Mr. Steinbrenner called me again. He said, "Do you still want to play?" Yes. Show up at the complex, work out with Billy Connors. If it doesn't work out, you come work for me. Show up at the complex, work out for like a week. I'm doing 2 rookie games, nothing special. Next morning, I get called in the office. I'm thinking I'm going to get released. Billy said, "We need a pitcher in New York against the Mets." So I couldn't say I'm not ready, but all I wanted to do is go back to Shea Stadium that one last time, right? So he says, "The day-night doubleheader, the day game, they want you to pitch at Shea Stadium for the Mets. Night game at the Stadium." So I was thinking, I said, "You know what? I'm probably going to go out there and go maybe 10 left runs, but at least I get to Shea this one last time." Going to the ballpark, on the team bus coming in on the visitor side, walking the business clubhouse, it felt weird. It was very weird, come back to Shea Stadium, because that's all I knew. Shea Stadium, coming in home side. Went to the visitors bullpen, warming up on that side. And I'm warming up, and Mel Stoudemire, who I was lucky enough to have as my pitching coach, who I had earlier in my career at the Mets. Awesome. So I'm throwing, nothing's working. Can't get the curveball working. I can't throw strikes. Mel was like, "Try this, Doc. Try that. Try this." And finally, he went to the 8th. I had nothing. And once I finished warming up, walking down the tunnel to the dugout, normally the starting pitcher, when you're done warming up, you walk out. It's just one, maybe a long reliever that walks down, just in case you get hurt or something. When I'm walking down, everybody, the whole bullpen is all walking down. So I'm sure Mel said it's going to be a short night. And only Ant Rivera was the only guy that didn't go down there. So, and then what made it worse? You're a Yankee fan? You can be whatever you want. Anyway, so and then what made it worse was normally when you take them out in the first inning, normally if the manager says anything, you say, "Okay, give me what you got, have a good game." But George Torrey said, "Give me what you got, Doc. 1 inning, 2 innings, whatever." So he didn't have confidence either. But when I got on the mound at Shea Stadium, everything just clicked. I felt like I was home again. I mean, I started throwing, I could throw the ball well, curveball, I found everything right there. And I ended up pitching 5 innings, got the win. And to me, I could have retired that day because that's all I wanted. Go back to Shea Stadium. Show you guys I was healthy. Things were good again. And I ended up staying on the team the rest of the year. Really pitcher. And unfortunately, for most guys at the time, we beat the Mets in the World Series as a Yankee. Yeah. Don't blame me though. I was trying to come back. I was trying to come back to the Mets. Yeah, that's the name. And win the World Series at Shea Stadium, win a Yankee uniform. Okay. I think George Steinbrenner had an opportunity, but it was weird. It wasn't the way it was supposed to end it, but for me, to end my career like that in New York, even though it was the Yankees, it was a great way to go out.
Let's fast forward a little bit. I want to go to 2006 because the Mets had the 20th anniversary of the 1986 team. That was a game that I went to. I think it was against Colorado, and you weren't able to be there. Dow Strawberry made his return, and I remember everyone walking, all the players walking through the crowd, and Darryl just got such a huge ovation. And I'm like, man, I wish Doc was here. Davey wasn't there either. You fast forward to 2008 and the Shea goodbye, and like I'm even getting goosebumps thinking about it right now. When you come out of the bullpen, the sound from the crowd, the electricity from the crowd, and the Mets had just blown this blown the season and got eliminated, and the fact that all the players were coming back and the emotion. I think even Gary Cohen said it once it was over that he teared up when you got announced and the crowd was just going wild. What were your emotions for that? And did you think that you were going to just get that ovation in your return?
Great question. So, unfortunately, I was incarcerated in '06, so I couldn't be there. I'm sorry. Okay. So, unfortunately, in '06, I was incarcerated, so I couldn't be there. In '08, and at that time, I was bitter with the Wilpons, the way things was. We weren't really on good terms. And I was in Detroit, actually, watching Gary Sheffield, my nephew, who was going for 500 home runs. A good friend of mine came to Detroit and said, "We're gonna fly you back with us to Shea Stadium. You have to be there for the last day." And so, honestly, at the time, I'm just being honest with you guys, I didn't want to go because of my relationship with Wilpons at that time. I mean, it's a lot better now, but I wanted to go for the fans. And I was scared to death. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what type of ovation it was going to be. I didn't know. That's it. But at least I can go back to this last time, last opportunity to see Shea Stadium, stepping down. Last opportunity, well, not last opportunity, but to see Shea Stadium with you guys in the ballpark. I went there, and the ovation that you guys gave me, like some of response to it was definitely overwhelming at the time, not knowing what to expect. Going back to Shea Stadium, walked out to the induction. You guys, and not just a good school, but you guys always been there. Whatever I was going through, you guys always been there. But many times, you guys could have turned your back. Now we understood. You guys never did. That means a lot because you're not just dealing with a ball player, you're dealing with a life. You guys always supported that. That means more to me than support I got. Thank you.
Doc, in 2010, you got inducted into the Mets Hall of Fame. This past season, you got your number retired. Did you, everything that has went through in your career, especially with the Mets, did you think that that day would come?
Getting inducted to the Mets Hall of Fame, first part, you kind of think that's going to happen because you see guys go before you. That was a great big form with Darryl, David Johnson, Frank Cashin, 86 guys. That was great. They have my number retired. I did see that happen. As a kid, you never think about having a number retired. You think about playing the World Series. You think about making it to a major, but you never think about having your number retired. And plus, with off the field stuff, I didn't think it would happen. When I got the call from Steve Cohen, oh, you okay? Yep. This better? Okay. All right. So, when I got the call from Steve Cohen that they're going to retire my number, I actually, because I do a lot of prank calls with a lot of my friends and ex-teammates. So I hung up intentionally on Steve Cohen because I didn't know if that was really him or not, so I can call back to make sure it was him. And I called back and it was him. And I mean, the first when he tell you that, I wanted to call my dad, but unfortunately my dad's no longer here. But I say I can still call my kids, my grandkids, and share that moment with them and my friends. And that was just wow. I mean, like 2 minutes I just paused, obviously crying because you're thinking about the journey that I had with the Mets from when I got drafted, how great it was to my family and my parents. And then I moved on to the Yankees and the teams. And I came back, winning the Mets Hall of Fame, and now I'm getting my number retired. That's something that, as a player, that's the highest honor a team can give you as a player. And that made me have closure knowing that my Met career was okay, even though through the struggles. And I got to share that with you guys My kids was there. My grandkids were there who never seen me play. Great grandkids was there who obviously never seen me play. Um, Family and friends fly from all over. And all I want to do is just go back that one time to Shea because when I wasn't allowed the opportunity to retire as a Met, everything happens on God's timing. I'm not a Bible thumb, but everything happened on God's timing. And it was just meant to be that timing because had it would happen way back then, I was still having my struggles with my addiction, still having struggles with mental. But at that time it was just meant to be. And you guys, I have to say this, yeah, probably not heard this. So and this is coming from the heart. And the thing I'm gonna say this now is because when I was giving my speech last year, I got to come in and started raining. I didn't get to finish my speech pretty much. But this is for you guys. This is straight from the heart. Most of you guys, who was there in '84? Who's seen my first year? All right. Okay. So it's mostly for you guys. Nothing else you got. When you guys go to the ballpark this year, make sure whenever you take your kids, your grandkids, your friends, your neighbors, whoever you take, and you see 16 and you talk about it, tell them that you played a part of that. And I mean that because without you guys, that don't happen. I don't have the career I had without you guys, without the support and the energy you guys brought to Shea Stadium. You guys remember when I used to get 2 strikes on a batter, so you guys would stand up and clap, one to strike out. I would feed off of that. Good. And being able to have that moment that I had last year, with the struggles I had off the field and the support I got from you guys, that don't happen either. So when you guys go there with your kids or whoever you go there with, tell them you played a part of that and mean it because without you guys, that don't happen. I don't have the career that I had with you guys, and I probably don't be here today without the support I've got from you guys. So once again, thank you guys. I appreciate that.
Doc, did it mean that much more when you found out that not only you, but also Daryl was going in at the same time? Because you guys basically grew up together on the Mets, and we all know how important homegrown Mets are to all of us fans. So was it just that much more important to get to go on with Daryl?
I was just as happy as I was for him as I was myself. And I mean that because we both had our issues. Both obviously a lot of things. We had a lot of expectations on ourselves. And it will always be, whether we like it or not, Doc and Daryl or Daryl and Doc have one. I'm okay with that. I'm happy to have my name next to Daryl because I know what it's like to play in New York with expectations from not just the media, the team, fans, ourselves, we put on ourselves, and to be able to come through and deliver. Then to have the struggles, be able to bounce back and use the mess that we made or the mess that I made to turn into messages. To have the opportunity and still be here, still breathing and sharing these moments with these fans. This was all about. So when Daryl, when his kids retired, I was there. I was just happy for him, and I cried for his thing probably more than I did mine. Just to know that anybody can accomplish that because it's more guys in the Hall of Fame than guys that had the number retired. And we get the opportunity to have that, and I'm sure nobody can never take that away. Yeah, it just goes back to. Of course, we had our struggles where, but the work that we put on the field was appreciated. So it meant a lot.
The Mets this offseason announced that David Wright is going to have his number retired as well as go into the Mets Hall of Fame. But I was a little shocked because I obviously David Wright it has to be in there, but there's still one person to me that's missing from the 1986 team that should have his number as well, and that's Gary Carter. What are your thoughts on eventually getting Gary Carter his number 8 up in the rafters there?
Wow, put me on the spot. Man, I don't have the career I had with Gary Carter. We probably don't win the World Series in '86 without Gary Carter. I'm aware of that. That's a tough one. David Wright is definitely deserving. I'm happy for David for the career he had. Probably had he not had the injuries, he'd been probably Cooperstown. He's headed that way. I know David Wright is a good friend. Very happy for him, his achievements. But Carter, I don't really know. I don't know if I can answer it. I mean, for me, from a teammate, a friend, and how much he helped me on up the field, I would say yes. Fill the bias before he did. I don't know. How many years did he play with the Mets? Probably 5.
Well, I think it was 5, right? 85, or 5 or 6, 85 to 89.
I know how you feel about this.
85 to 89.
Expos Hall of Fame, right?
I think he's in the Expos Hall of Fame.
Expos retired his numbers.
Yeah.
Expos retired his number. Okay. That's tough, man.
Can you picture any other Met wearing number 8? There's your answer.
Only you and Fancy Camp.
There you go.
Yeah.
I don't wear it for me.
Yeah, I got you. Yep. But wow.
We talked about it a
Even-
little
I
bit.
think. Let me ask you a question though. I think not to try to. I guess I'm wiggling my way around, but I don't know if they should retire it. But how about they don't hand it out anymore?
What do you guys think of that? You agree with that? If they just don't give out number 8, I don't. Has anyone had?
It's been
Oh boy.
since he's in the hall. Since he's been elected to the Hall of Fame, no Met has worn.
Oh, they haven't worn it?
So it's in mothballs since he got it.
Okay, I like that.
Tell us a little bit more like what he meant to you as a teammate. Having him come over from the Expos in '85, that was such a huge move. Kind of the final piece of the puzzle to get to that World Championship.
Most definitely. So having Carter, like I got the opportunity to throw to Gary in '84 at the All-Star game. And I was nervous as a wreck. I was 19 years old, year and a half out of high school. And Gary knew I was nervous. He said, just throw the ball the way you did the first half of the season, you'll be fine. I was fortunate enough, I got the 3 strikeouts, struck out 3 guys. Then Gary said, wouldn't this be nice to do every 5th day? Not knowing I was going to trade for Gary that November. And Gary's the only catcher that would catch me between starts. He didn't want nobody catching me. He would come down the bullpen and catch me. And he was a guy that communicates. Like if I wasn't batting, he wasn't hitting. We'd sit on the bench and talk about how we're going to approach the next inning. And he definitely was a missing piece because we had a young staff in '86 with myself, Ron Darling, Sid Fernandez, Rick Aguilera. The only veteran we had was really Bob Ojeda. That came over in '86. But Gary was definitely a missing piece, veteran catcher coming in. I'll tell you guys this a quick story with Gary and Keith. So they didn't really get along, I guess, from when Keith was at the Cardinals and Gary was with the Expos. You know where I'm going? So in '84, Keith, true captain, he was like my second or assistant pitching coach on the field. He knew the hitters' weaknesses, and sometimes he would tell me how to approach certain hitters. And I would listen to Keith because Mel couldn't come out to the mound for whatever reason, right? So '85, we traded for Carter, veteran catcher, all-star catcher. You know the league, you know the hitters' weaknesses, and so I went with Carter, right? And so we're playing Atlanta Braves. So we're playing Atlanta Braves, like in the middle of the season, 2-1 ball game, like the 8th inning. I walked Clayton Washington to start off the top of the 8th. One pitch later, he's still second base. So now you got a time run on second. Carter calls timeout. He comes to the mound and he says, Doc, let's go with the curveball. Get ahead. Then we'll try to strike him out with a high fastball. I said, okay. So when Carter's going back to the home plate, Keith sprints to the mound. What did he say? What did he say? I said, well, he wants to go curveballs. If I get ahead, we'll go high fastball. Keith said, no, don't do that. You got a base open. You might hang the curveball. Just go fastballs high and tight. If you walk him, no big deal. That's okay. So Keith goes back to first. So Carter's putting on curveball, right? Give me the sign curveball. So I'm shaking off no. Curveball, shaking off no. Curveball, I'm shaking him off. Calls time. He comes to the mound. Keith meets him at the mound, and they're going at it on the mound about what pitch I should throw. Now, remind you, I'm only 20 years old, so I'm standing there, and they're going at it. So Mel Stoudemire, the pitching coach, calls time out. He comes to the mound. And what's going on? So they're going at it. And so he says, Doc, what do you want to throw? And I got to go with my catcher, right? I mean, veteran catcher. So I say, I go curveball. And Keith looks at me, and we got kids here, so I can't really tell you guys what he said. But you can imagine. I mean, he aired me out like you wouldn't believe. And so I threw the curveballs, but I intentionally kind of walked them to make them both happy. And even when we got in the dugout, Keith was still just so pissed and just yelling at me. But that was just a competitive in both of those guys. I mean, it's good though. So that was one of my experiences with Carter and Keith.
In '85, when Carter came over, you had probably, I know a lot of people talk about, Tom Seaver and what he meant being the franchise, but going 24-4 with a 1.53 ERA is probably one of the best seasons in franchise history. How much did Gary help you, and what were the changes from your rookie year to now working with Gary?
So my rookie year, like I said, Keith helped me out a lot, and I got a lot of experience, got more confidence. I got a little stronger going into 85, but having Carter there, obviously a lot of expectations after my rookie year. I knew it was more than just a game because the crowds were bigger, it's more media there, the games were sold out. And Gary put me in a situation where he made me accept the challenge. And to Gary credit, he wanted me to go every game. He wanted me to go 9 innings. He wanted me to have 10 plus strikeouts, and he wanted me to pitch a shutout. It doesn't matter if the score is 2-0 or 10-0. If he felt like I was messing around out there or not giving my best, he would actually come out to the mound or anything out and just get in my face and just let me have it. He was just that much of a warrior, wanted that much dominance because he wanted more than just a good outing. He wanted me to dominate. And I accepted the challenge. And then I started looking forward to doing that. Not that I had any disrespect for the opposing team, but I know when you guys came, you guys wanted the same thing, right? You wanted 10 strikeouts, you wanted to shut out, you wanted a complete game, and that's what I did. And that year I have more credit. Like the 24 wins were great, but I take more pride in getting the 16 complete games that year than anything. And that year also had 4 games where I pitched 9 innings, but I got no decisions. Could have had 20 complete games out of 35 starts. So I was more than that. But Gary played a big part of that. And even between starts, Mel Stoudemire always found something for me to work on. So I wasn't complacent with what I was doing. So those guys played a big part of my success.
I'm glad you brought up the 16 complete games. So out of 35 games you started, 16 of those were complete games. I mean, we don't even see that in baseball these days. Anyway, you'd be a billionaire getting a contract right now. You'd be getting Soto money, maybe even more. What are your thoughts on the state of pitching nowadays, where you got guys only going 4 or 5 innings? There's more reliance on the bullpen. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, the game's changed so much with the analytics and all this stuff. I don't really blame the pitchers. I blame the system. Baseball is like a copycat league. If one team does something that works, then they all do it. Totally different game now. It's more on velocity and spin rate and all this stuff. Just my opinion. They don't work on mechanics as much as they used to. And that's why you see guys throwing harder. They're not going as long as 100 pitches, they're out of the game, 4 or 5 innings, they're out of the game, but they're all getting hurt because everything's about velocity. It's not about mechanics anymore. That's where the game has come to. Obviously, I wish I was pitching today, could make more money. I mean, I have 9 grandkids. I need help. I got 3 great grands. Can you guys imagine this? Imagine telling your 21-year-old grandson, Happy Father's Day. Let that sink in for a little bit. I mean, but kids are a blessing. But I feel worse for the generations before me, like the DiMaggios, Yogi, and all those guys. They had to get jobs during the off season. But to me, those were the real players. But now, I mean, I still love the game, but it's changed a lot of changes. Hopefully, they don't do too many more changes. But to your question with the pitchers, I mean, they're throwing less innings. That's just the way they taught from the minor leagues, spring training. They mindset to go 4 or 5 innings, but I think it's more of a disadvantage than helping those guys because at the end of the year, you got injuries. The bullpens wore down, a lot of injuries. AAA, the rosters up and down. It's a totally different game.
Do you wish that they go back to, like, do you see a space where they can go back to enough of the velocity and more of, like you said, the mechanics? Can we get back to that type of pitching?
I think they will. I think eventually, because everything like generational. That's like before my time. I forget who it was. Was it who was the pitcher, Jesse? That pitched, I guess, both ends of a double hitter. I mean, that's like unheard of. Johnny Bench, yes. I mean, that's like unheard of in my time, but that was normal for them. Ferguson Jenkinson going 35 complete games out of 40 starts. I mean, that's like, to me, that's unheard of. Then you had my era where guys was going, at least 10 complete games a year. I had 16. Now a guy goes 2 complete games, that's something big.
Yeah.
So I think everything changes with generations. I think eventually you get back to that. I mean, I'm more like an old school baseball guy. I like that if a guy's dominating, leave him in until you give up some runs, whatever. But now they don't want you facing the lineup the 3rd time around. 100 pitches, they think that's enough. It's just too many numbers thrown out.
I don't know how, like, pitching all those complete games like affected your body when it comes to injuries and stuff, but we just see so much more injuries, and these guys are pitching a whole lot less. like relying on throwing 100 miles per hour. It just seems to be such a problem these days.
Yeah, it's too much. I mean, and like again, I don't blame the pitchers. It's the system. It's the way the system is with analytics and all that. And again, no knock on these pitchers or anything like that. But like you see pitchers that go to the ballpark, I think it's great for the fans when you look at the scoreboard and have the velocity up there. But young pitchers, I think it hurt them because they throw a pitch and they look at the scoreboard right away. After every pitch, you guys go to a game, and most pitchers, but definitely the pitchers has 2 years or less. Watch them. If they throw a pitch, they look at the scoreboard. They want to see what the velocity is, and that can hurt you. And they're trying to max out. And a lot of pitchers don't understand how to add and subtract with velocity. It just max out because that's the way they're taught. There's nothing against the pitchers, it's just a system.
Yeah, I think you see it in a lot of times on social media too. These places that do the labs that do the pitching,
man.
you see them just throwing it as hard as they can. There's no direction or any of that where it goes. So
Right? It just maxes out.
mechanics are super important.
Mechanics, you have to have good mechanics. If not, it's not going to last. It's not going to last. That's the way it is. Even with like some of these pitches they're throwing, without mechanics, it's just not going to last. I'm sorry. Like to me, like Garrett Cole, probably like a little exception. I like his mechanics, but again, last year was a sign we had the injuries.
Yeah.
This year it's paying the price, but there's a guy that mechanics is sound, but he mics it out. It don't work.
Before we continue, if anyone has a question of their own that they want to ask Doc, the microphone's right here, right by Jesse, so you guys can line up. You can go back and forth. I can ask questions. You can ask questions. But if you want to come up and ask Doc a question, be our guest. Come up there and
I got
ask
one. I got one. I
Yeah.
got one. Talk about your first start in Houston, Doc.
First start in Houston. So again, you can't make yourself up. So make the team. And once I made the team, I was obviously happy. I was 19, year and a half out of high school. Very excited, but very nervous because now I'm getting to face guys who I used to pretend to be in my backyard playing with my nephew, right? So the mess was kind enough to fly my parents into Houston for my first game. And it was a night game. I was so nervous the whole night. I mean, I couldn't sleep. I was just nervous. Wanted to do good. My parents did. I made it even worse. I mean, they didn't care if I pitched good or not, but just pitching in front of your parents at that age. So I had lunch with my parents, like around 12 o'clock. The bus wasn't going to leave till 5 o'clock, like 7:30 game. And I'd never been to the Astrodome before in Houston. So I ate with my parents. I went to my room, and I just had all of this anxiety, right? So I went back downstairs, went to the concierge, asked the guy how far is the Astrodome. He said, probably driving maybe 5 minutes. He said, how are you going to get there? I said, I walk. He said, oh, it's about 3-4 miles. I said, can you show me on the map how to get there? Show me on the map. I walked to the ballpark. True story. I walked to the ballpark. Now I get there. I don't know how to get in. It's like an 8-foot fence. So I'm climbing this fence to get in. Security guard comes over. I'm serious. So security guard comes over and they're like, what are you doing, kid? I'm like, why couldn't I pitch tonight? Like, sure you are. So I got to show my ID. And luckily we had the trainers was there. They get there early to come out and get me from the parking lot. So I get in the clubhouse. You're like, what are you doing? Why are you climbing the fence? I'm like, I didn't know how to get in. I mean, So now with the team this year, we're going to the bullpen, I'm warming up for the game, and I'm sweating bullets. I mean, I'm sweating out of control. And Mel was like, just relax, you'll be fine. Pitch like you normally pitch. So I was lucky enough to pitch 5 innings. We gave it like 2 runs. We got the win. I remember after the game, my dad said, well, son, what do you think? I said, I probably should win a lot of games. My next start in Chicago, I get knocked out in the 3rd inning. My dad says, well, what do you think now? I said, I don't know if I'm ready. But the game of baseball humbles you that much. But I guess what Jeff's getting at, just imagine your first big league start, you walk to the ballpark, you got to climb an 8-foot fence. Security comes over, basically ready to arrest you. But I still got the win. That's how I started out. And
What a way.
oh no,
What a way to begin.
What a way to begin. Yes.
Do you have a question? Okay, buddy, what's your name?
My name is John.
What's your question?
Dwight Gooden, do you know what inspired you to pitch?
Great question. So a lot of credit goes to my dad. My dad was from Georgia, a small town called Americus, Georgia, real small town. My dad had a 3rd grade education. He self-taught himself everything, taught my mom how to read and write. And I had 3 older brothers that played with Ray Knight in Georgia, in Little League and high school, but they never really panned out. And my dad was like little league coach for baseball, coach girls softball, coach men amateur baseball. And so as a kid, like your age, all I want to do is follow my dad. If he was going out the door, it didn't matter where he was going, I was going to follow him. So I grew up around baseball with my dad. Um, my nephew, Gary Sheffield, grew up in the same house. My sister is his mom, but she had him young. So my parents basically raised Gary. Um, Thank you, sir. So we basically would follow my dad around. And then the one thing I regret before my dad passed away is not finding out where did he get his knowledge from. And to your question, what inspired me was my dad said one day he came home, I was like 7 years old playing Little League. He asked me how much I like baseball. So I like it a lot. I said, one day I want to be on TV. True story. So follow your dreams. You never know. He said, okay. He said, when I come home from work, we're going to go in the park. We're going to work on some stuff. I said, okay. So every day he'll come home from work. He'll take me and Gary to the park. I'm 4 years older than Gary, so Gary was younger. Go to the park. It wasn't fun because go to the park, got no bat, no glove, no ball. He was big on mechanics. That's why we talk mechanics.
Yep.
He did all these drills, and it wasn't fun. I would get pissed. And I'm like, you don't know what you're doing. Why are we doing all this stuff? And I would get home like a little brat. I would tell my mom, Dad's making us go to the park, do all these crazy stuff. He don't know what he's doing. But he was teaching us mechanics. Like Gary, you guys remember he had the bat wiggle when he's wiggling the bat? That was all for timing. Like when he's going real fast, he's thinking fastball. If he slows down a little bit, he's thinking all speed. I know that because I trained with Gary. And with me, I had the high leg kick. That was about balance and give him enough time to get my arm in a good position to throw the ball. So my dad taught me all that stuff. And then when I got older, 12, 13 years old, it all came together. So if I was trying to throw the ball inside on the righty, but it went outside, I knew how to correct that because my dad taught me. Well, most kids didn't know that at that age. So I had an advantage because of the knowledge that my dad had and taught me. And as I got older, the stuff that he taught me and installed in me, I just became better at working on it. So my dad really inspired me. And it was initially his dream that became my dream. Great question.
Great question.
Yep.
Anyone else that wants to ask a question, come on up.
Hi, my name is Will.
Hey, Will.
Nice to see you, Doc.
You too,
And
buddy.
congratulations on your continuing recovery. That's the best news of all.
Thank you.
I want to ask you just about the 86 World Series. I've heard stories that maybe you were warming up in the bullpen in game 6 and 7 or something. You were ready to go. Is that true?
Yes. Game 7, and from a selfish standpoint, I'll go ahead and admit it. So I didn't pitch well in the World Series. I did good against Houston, but the World Series, I pitched game 2 and 5, I think. I didn't do too well. So from a selfish standpoint, game 7, I was warming up in the bullpen. If Jim Rice had to come up to hit, I was going to come in to face him. It was kind of like, won't Jesse get buried out? But you kind of want Barry to get on so I can kind of redeem myself. But, so it kind of worked out, good both ways. But yes, I was warming up in the bullpen. I'm sure Davey probably want me to come in. I didn't pitch well, but just to kind of regroup myself, I wanted to get in the game. So I guess that's kind of selfish, hoping that not necessarily Barry got a hit or got on base, but if it didn't happen, at least I knew I was in the game. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Speaking of the 86 World Series, I got to ask you, where were you in game 6, those 2 final outs after Keith recorded his out? Because I know Keith said he went back to the clubhouse and he didn't want to see it. What was your reaction to the whole thing and where were you?
So I was in and out the dugout clubhouse, but I was actually in the clubhouse when Keith, he was in the manager's office. And I remember Kevin Mitchell was on the phone trying to make reservations for get a flight home. And he had his jersey off, and the bat boy came in the clubhouse looking for Kevin. So Kevin threw his jersey, went in and got the pinch hit. But when Kevin went down, I went down. But for part of that, I was upstairs in the clubhouse as well.
Now you mentioned the NLCS because that was a big series for you. Game 5, probably one of the best games between that pitcher's duel between you and Nolan Ryan.
Yeah.
Talk us through that whole situation. And then Gary Carter had the game-winning hit later on.
Yeah, that was amazing because Nolan Ryan and Pete Rose, those are my idols growing up as a kid. And now I'm pitching against my idol. And normally pitchers or all baseball players or anybody who plays sports are very superstitious. And I always had this thing, every 3 innings, I go in the clubhouse and I change my jersey and come back out. But that game pitching against Nolan, I wanted to it was like I was a fan of Nolan, watching him pitch, but I mean, obviously we want to beat him. So I never changed my jersey. I was just standing there to watch him pitch. And that probably was, from a personal standpoint, one of the best games I ever pitched. I went 10 innings. It was a playoff. We had to win that against anyway. Me and Nolan was just pitch for pitch. A lot of times you hear guys say, I'm not worrying about the opposing pitcher. I got to get the hitters out. But to be honest with you, you are concerned and you know who's pitching against, because when Nolan's pitching, you know you're not going to get much. Hershiser, Fernando, when those guys pitch, you're not going to get much. So you're aware of who you're pitching against. And that game was one of the probably biggest games of my career at that time.
Is it a different mindset, like pitching that game? Like obviously you mentioned Nolan, it's a big game there, but from doing that to like a regular season game.
Oh, most definitely, because against Nolan, and plus with everything that's, at stack for that, you know you're not gonna get much. So every inning that we don't score, when I go back out there, I got to pitch it like it's the ninth inning. I can't go like, okay, it's the third inning. If I go for a run, we've got time to get it back. Every inning is the ninth inning. So you're pitching every inning like it's your last inning to get through it.
I know we got more questions. Go ahead, man.
Good afternoon, Mr. Gooden. How are you?
Good. How you doing?
Mr. Gooden, when we look in retrospect to your career, primarily the lower years of your career with New York Mets, particularly in the 1980s, alongside Darryl Strawberry, and the individual accolades that you accomplished that alongside Darryl Strawberry formed mattered one of the most iconic duos of 1980s baseball. When we foreshadow the upcoming 2025 Mets season, do you believe that Juan Soto and Francisco Lindor have been the closest in terms of fanatic attraction to that duo of yourself and Mr. Strawberry in 1986?
Oh, that's a great question. They have great potential to lead. By example, obviously, there's gonna be a lot of expectations on him. Like Soto, I mean, it's gonna be a lot of pressure on him. Hopefully, it doesn't bother him or phase him. I don't think it will. But I think what me and Darryl did in the 80s, at our age, coming in like that, I think we probably had more expectations at that time, because the Mets had been so bad up until 84. When I came in, Darryl, plus he was a hitter, I was a pitcher, and then with Soto and Lindor, you have two hitters. But at the same time, they did 1-2 hitters. You got to set the table and take the pressure off other guys, and set up the table for, Pete Alonso and Ventos and Winker and those guys. I think it might be a little similarity there, but I think that me and Darryl, I mean, the expectation I think was more on us, and the expectation that we put on ourselves was like way more. And I think, and again, this is no knock on Soto or nobody like that, but you asked the question. I think, how can I say this in a nice way? I think, and I don't want people to take this the wrong way, it's just me. I think Darryl Strawberry in his prime, Soto don't come close. I'm sorry. I don't think it comes close. And that's another thing against Soto, but I'm just saying the player that Darryl was. I mean, this guy, unbelievable.
You can
And
defend.
he can
throw
defend, he do
runners out.
everything. Like his defense, running bases, everything got overshadowed because everybody wanted to see him hit it off the scoreboard. But he was a total package. When he came into play, it was nobody better. I'll take him over anybody, hands down.
One more question, Mr. Strawberry. 1996, May 14th, with New York Yankees, you pitched a no-hitter against the Seattle Mariners. What was that like for you in terms of someone that was so accustomed to pitching in Shea Stadium, winning that 1985 CY Young, to have done something so iconic in a field that necessarily wasn't your personal comfort zone?
Great question. So, from a personal standpoint, that probably was like the highlight of my career, only because of everything that took place. My dad, the guy supposed to fly home that day that I pitched to be with my dad, who was having open heart surgery the next day. He had been on dialysis for 15 years. Plus, the year before, I was suspended from baseball. I missed the entire year. Then, beginning of that season, I started 0-3. I was basically taken out of the rotation. It's basically bench. When a pitcher gets benched, I mean, you're not pitching. If you're up 10 or you're down 10, you're not getting into the game. They're trying to decide whether to release me or send me down. Unfortunately, David Cohen got the aneurysm in his shoulder, so that's how I got back into the rotation. And I think it was my third start back in the rotation was no hitter. But the day that I pitched a no hitter, there's a lot on my mind because my dad was having open heart surgery the next day, not knowing if he's going to be okay or not make it. And the pitch no hitter, with all that going on, it turned out to be the last game my dad saw me pitch. He never made it out of the hospital. He passed away. So I would say that game is the big game for me out of any game.
Thank you, Mr. Gooden.
Thank you.
We got another question.
Hey Doc, my name is Aaron. Nice to meet you.
You too, buddy.
My question is, what was it like to see Darryl Strawberry hit all those home runs in the dugout? Because I don't really remember because I was born in '91. So my dad only told me stories.
Oh, it was fun. Darryl, I mean, he was a guy that even playing on his team, he was coming to bat. You didn't go to the clubhouse, you didn't go to the bathroom, you didn't do nothing. You want to be right there to watch because you didn't know how far he was going to hit it or what he was going to do, but you knew he was going to do something special. We probably put more expectation on Darryl than the media did. I mean, he was fun to watch, and I remember. I'm gonna tell you about the home run he hit in Montreal. But first, so a lot of games, like when I pitched with Darryl, I would say, certain, I'll make stuff up. Like I'll pretend I'm reading the paper. That like, say if we're facing the Cubs, Sutcliffe pitching, right? I'll say, Darryl, you see what this guy Sutcliffe is saying about you? He goes, no, what? So he's worried about Keith and Gary. He said, I'm not worried about Strawberry. Really? You said that? Yeah, it's right here. You know. So that day, I knew he was going to hit at least 2 home runs. He was going to do something. But I'll only do that in the games I was pitching. You know, you knew he was going to do something special. But in '88, I think it was the opening day in Montreal. It was '88. He hit a ball. It was in Montreal. The roof was a retracted roof, but the roof was closed.
Yeah.
He hit a ball that would have been out of the stadium had the roof been open.
Oh, I saw that one. They had it on SNY. That I saw. Yep.
That's the best ball I've ever seen in my life. I mean, for a human to hit a ball like that, I'm like, wow. It was all natural. It wasn't like a guy that lifted a lot of weights or did anything crazy. He just was natural, man. Play the game.
So cool. Thank you so much, Doc.
You got it.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Listen, Doc knows a lot about. I got to jump in one real quick. Doc knows a lot about hitting. He's the all-time leader in home runs for Mets pitchers. I don't know how many you know that.
Now you're talking.
1992 Silver Slugger.
I had 8 home runs. Not that I remember, but All right. Yeah. Kevin was a great guy. Kevin got a lot of blame because Kevin grew up rough, you know, in gangs and all that kind of stuff. But when Kevin was the Mets, nicest guy, I mean, don't piss him off, but the nicest guy. And when me and Darryl had our troubles, they used Kevin as a scapegoat. They said Kevin's the reason, let's get rid of Kevin. But me and Darryl actually took Kevin out for his first drink. We started Kevin to drinking. It just felt bad because I had a great relationship with Kevin. I still do. One of the nicest guys you could be. I mean, just a good guy. Yeah. Does anything for the team. And when we got rid of Kevin and Ray Knight, it changed the whole chemistry because those are 2 guys that kept the team loose, held guys accountable, and plus the visiting teams knew not to mess with us because we got Kevin and Ray Knight. These guys didn't play. So it helped us, especially the pitchers. Yeah.
I'll ask a follow-up question, controversial one.
Okay.
So when George Boston was on the team, you guys got some roles back there. Did Boston really sit on the bench, not go out the field?
Well, I think the one you asked him, so Danny Cox, who was with the Cardinals, he always said, "Come in, George, remember when you get a walk, you always flip the bat up real high." And Danny Cox drilled him. And so as pitchers, we got to protect our guy. And I think it might have been Ron Darling. Somebody hit Danny Cox and a brawl broke out. And Foster didn't go out on the field. He stayed in the dugout while we were out fighting, basically protected him. So after that, anytime he got hit, we just didn't retaliate. I think that was part of the reason in '86 when they released him, brought in Mazzilli, part of it because he's just not a bad guy, but he just wasn't really kind of old school guy, but he wasn't really into the team stuff. I mean, he would start himself, but he wouldn't help us. Yep. You got it. Yep.
We have another question.
Yeah, I actually have 3, but I'm going to ask them all in succession and then maybe you can expand.
Okay.
So what's, aside from City Field, what's your favorite field to play on? Second question is, who is your closest baseball friend in these later years? And the third question is, if you had only one chance to tell one baseball story, what would it be?
Wow. Great questions. Yep. So the first one, my favorite stadium outside of Shea Stadium was Dodger Stadium, only because the mountain was nice and high, and it reminded me a lot of Shea Stadium. And at nighttime, me being a fly ball pitcher, at nighttime, you always had the fog coming in from Dodger Stadium, so the ball didn't travel as much at night. And the way the stands were behind the home plate, it made the mound seem closer than what it really was. So that was awesome. I love that. My favorite I guess, friend that I play with is still Darryl Strawberry. We talk a lot. I think we're probably closer now than we ever been. 'Cause our conversation now is real. It's about family, how we're doing, opposed to where we're going tonight, what's going on, and stuff like that. But I'll say Darryl. And if I could tell one baseball story, my favorite, wow, there's so many. Wow. If I could tell one baseball story, I probably had to go back to the one with my dad, under the circumstances. Because had it not been for my dad, I probably wouldn't have been playing baseball because he started me. Because if he would have coached football and all that, I probably would have tried football. So whatever he was doing, that's what I was going to do. So I'll tell you the story about when I pitched a no-hitter. That been the last game my dad saw me pitch. Probably say that one.
Thank you, guys. Anybody else? Yeah, you got one more? Okay.
Hello, Gooden,
How you doing, buddy?
Mr. Gooden. My name's Noah. In your 15 years, who is, besides Zara, who is your favorite teammate?
Besides Darryl, I would say David Cohn. We clicked right away. When he came over in '87, we just kind of connected right away. And then when I joined the Yankees in '96, he was right there to talk to me about pitching in the American League and National League, because it is a difference where nationally, you're facing a opposing pitcher like then, and normally like the seventh and eighth hitter are normally like a catcher and a shortstop, who are not like today where they're hitting for power. So that where American League, you got the DH who's probably been fourth and fifth, and then the eighth and ninth guys are more like steal bases or what have you. So he talked to me a lot about making adjustments, and we're still close today as well. We talk a lot about family and different things like that, and I love the guy.
Thank you.
You got it.
Doc, growing up in the late 90s watching baseball, this was a Yankees town. And all I heard was, you have to have been there in the 80s. It's all about the Mets. And, I saw the mural of you on 42nd Street and the K Corner. When did you guys you guys were all over magazines and everything. When did you guys realize how big this was for you and the team?
I think I would probably say after the All-Star break in '84, when I really started noticing, because I remember Keith saying that when he got traded to the Mets in '83, he didn't want to be there, and Frank Cashin told him, "Just hold on, we got a lot of young guys coming up." And then '83, Darryl got called up, won Rookie of the Year. Then I came up in '84, and I really took off after the All-Star break. And we had a young team, but you could see it's starting to come, and then the fans, you guys start coming out, supporting the team. And then we're going to '85. And Carter, Ray Knight, we got these guys over there. So we knew it was getting close. And we won 98 games that year. We got sent home. Cardinals, winning the division. But during that '85 season, come '86, we knew it was going to be there. I don't know if you guys remember at the end of '85, after the last home game, we're waving our hats to the fans.
Yeah.
We had so much confidence, not being cocky, but we had so much confidence that we knew we had something special and it was coming. But I would say by the All-Star break after '84, we was young. We still didn't have quite enough, but we knew it was getting close. We knew it was getting there. It was something different. It was getting more confidence, getting more experience. It was coming in. Bringing Carter over in '85 definitely played a big part.
And didn't Davey in the spring of '86 make the comment of we're going to win it all? That put added pressure on you guys?
Oh, no, we fought like Davey. We fed off with Davey. He said, "We're not going to just win it. We're going to dominate it." Everybody, yeah, let's go. Because, we had other teams. We had a lot of fights. We didn't like other teams. They didn't like us. There was no fraternizing. It was just us and our fans. You guys with those curtain calls and all that stuff, it was awesome. We loved it. And the opposing team didn't like that, but we loved it.
I have a lot of memorabilia on my back wall, especially when it's the backdrop for my podcast. But there's one picture that I really want, and it's of you, Darryl, and Mike Tyson. Can you tell us about that whole story and the backdrop of that whole event, that whole photo shoot that you guys took?
So that is a classic. That's the one. When I go to autograph signings, that's one of the coolest pictures. But so at that time, I never heard of Mike Tyson. I didn't know who he was. I didn't know nothing about Mike Tyson, right? So he comes to take batting practice. Him, his whole entourage, Don King, and I'm not kidding. He didn't foul one. He might have took 20 swings, didn't foul one ball off. He hit nothing out of the cage, right? And so once he got hit, they're like, yeah, he's Mike Tyson, this, that. So when we're done, they're like, we're gonna get a photo shoot. And so he goes, hi, Mike Tyson, I'm being next champion in the world. And under my breath, I'm like, yeah, right. Who's this guy? You know, I've never heard of him. And he was nice, you know, take the shot. And then about 4 or 5 months later, he knocks out Trevor Burbert, and the rest is history. And we always became friends right after that. We used to hang at this place. You guys remember the China Club?
Yes, sir. Oh, sorry.
Oh.
I forgot I had the mic. So.
So it's a place where everybody's going Monday nights. I mean, all sports, celebrities, everybody. We used to hang out there. And Tyson used to be there, and became friends. And today we're still friends.
That's awesome. That's one of my favorite pictures that I've seen. And one day I'm gonna
They
get
tried
that
to
one.
redo it, but it's not like the original.
Yeah.
That was it. That was the original. You know, like the original stuff you can't beat.
And I got one. Okay. This one came up from the internet. And I don't know the answer to this question, so this one isn't a loaded question. Were you with the big club in spring training in '83?
83?
Yeah.
No, 84.
84. So the question was, if you were in spring training with '83, which I didn't think you were, could you give us any impressions or any kind of wisdom or anything that you might have gotten from Tom Seaver, because he was with the club at '83?
Well, actually, Tom Seaver, like, remember they had the old timers games back then.
Yeah.
I got to know Tom Seaver a lot.
There you go.
And Tom Seaver, one of his favorite quotes was, you guys probably heard it, was like they had the pitch counts out, right?
Yeah.
Pitch counts. And Tom just told me, yo, Doc, what was your pitch count? I said, well, I don't know, maybe 110, 120. I don't know. We didn't really have it. He said, you know what my pitch count was? I said, no, what? He goes, when the other team started hitting me, that's when I had enough. You know, because that was my pitch count. But Tom was great. And then he told me one time, he said, Doc, you know, if we played together, you know how many games you would win with my smarts or your talent? I said, so you're saying I'm not smart? You know, but he was the best, man. He had quotes, and I love Tom. Just talking baseball to him.
And you're both Scorpions.
Well, yeah, his birthday's the day after mine, right? 17.
Yes, sir.
And you're right there too. But he had so much knowledge of the game about hitters and setting up hitters. Like he told me, he helped me with this one with Mike Schmidt. I had trouble with Mike Schmidt my rookie year, and he told me, well, you ever watch hitters' feet? I said, no, what do you mean? He goes, sometimes you got to watch the feet, or watch film on TV. This is before all the analytics stuff. He said, Mike Schmidt, if you watch him, if he's looking fastball, he spreads his feet out a little bit. If he's looking curveball, all speed, his feet more together. He's up closer. And I brought it up to Gary Carter. And sure enough, we figured it out. And so my rookie year, I struggled with Mike Schmidt. But my second year, I didn't because of the tip that Tom Seaver gave me. But I like veteran guys like that. I like talking to, even though he mentioned Seaver, but like Mike Torres. You guys remember Mike Torres? He helped me a lot. And to his credit, I remember when I was in spring training in '84, Mike Torres told me, he goes, you're probably going to make the team. He goes, if you make the team and you and these guys start pitching well, they're probably going to get rid of me and Craig Swan and these guys. But he said, but as long as I'm here, I'm going to help you. I'm going to teach you about pitching up hitters. I'm going to help you about being a big league player. And so when I would pitch, when I wasn't pitching and he wasn't pitching, I had to sit by him in the dugout and we'd talk about, what did you throw here? Why did you throw this certain pitch? So to his credit, he helped me out a lot. They ended up releasing him. But up until that point, a guy that knew he was going to get released still was willing to help me, a guy that was going to take his job.
We started with you pitching for the Yankees at Shea Stadium in '86. Tom Seaver, although he was injured, didn't get to pitch. He was on the other side with Boston. Was that a little bit weird to see that?
Not really at the time. I didn't pay much attention to it, to be honest with you. I know what was weird was when they put congratulations to Boston Red Sox to win the World Series. Doing that at Shea Stadium, that was weird. But with Tom, not really. Yeah, he tried out with us, I think the next year or year after he came,
He came back in '88. Tried to make
it back, yeah. So it'd been cool to play with him.
Couple more questions. With Juan Soto being here, it kind of feels like a little bit of a tide is turning where Mets are actually getting some of these big free agents to come and switch sides here. I know you were down in Port St. Lucie. Did you get a chance to talk to him about, the differences of playing in the Bronx and in Queens?
I did get to meet him. We talked a little bit, but I didn't get to talk to him about the Yankees and Mets. I think a guy like that coming over, I think he'll be fine. And I think obviously there's going to be a lot of expectations because of the contract, but I think he can handle it well. And I think he takes the pressure off of the other guys in the lineup because all the focus will be on him. I look for Pete to have a big year. He will have a lot of opportunities with Lindor and Soto hitting in front of him. And the other guys in the lineup, watching how Soto prepares and goes about his business every day. The young guys can watch him, what he does. I think it definitely helps. So let's see what happens. I think my only concern is the pitching. The pitching's going to be ready, which, so far so good.
My last question for you, is there any game that, goes through your mind? Like you remember everything that happened during that game, like it was just yesterday. Is there any one of those games that you think about?
It's two of them, actually. The one that hurts the most and still hurts is probably the 88 playoffs when I give the home run to Mike Scioscia. That one stays with me because I replay that tape over and over and over. And I never really had closure to that until one day I talked to Mike Scioscia. I just want to hear his point of view, what he's thinking. But anybody was at that game or remember that game?
Yes.
So I'm going to the ninth inning, and I'm still feeling good. I think it was T-Bone Shelby. I walk him on 4 pitches. And looking at it as a 21-year-old I'm pitching, I'm thinking, okay, let me just get ahead. This guy's not a home run. Let me get ahead, strike one. And the first pitch is a home run. Now looking back at it, if I can redo that, it's like, okay, he was a veteran catcher. He's not a home run hitter. The score is 4-2. He's home run tied. So he's probably I only got 2 pitches. He's probably thinking he's probably going to get ahead. I'm going to crowd the plate. I'm going to look in, and at the 0, I'm going to go for it. And I did exactly that. I followed the strap. And then when Scioscia was coaching the Angels, I was doing a baseball clinic at Yankee Stadium and was talking to him about that. And he said exactly that. He said, yeah, I just crowd the plate, looking for fastball in, hoping you threw it in. And he said, right, the one spot that I can get it, I got it. So I can replay that. And I still have games where, not games, but you guys know how, like on SNY, they show replays of old games. They're showing a game, because I had like 196 wins for my career, right? And they showed a game, we were playing in San Diego. It must have been maybe 88, 89. I left out the game in the 7th inning and was winning 2-1. Roger McDowell came in and gave up the lead, and I still get pissed watching that game. Seriously, it's like, oh man, I can't believe it through this pitch and that pitch. But you don't think about it many times they saved you. You only think about that one.
Doc, any lasting, thoughts or things you want to say about to the fans?
I think obviously I appreciate you guys for all the support you've always given me. And I think this year is gonna be a fun year. So I know you guys, I'm ready for baseball. Hope you guys are ready. No.
One question? Yeah. Of course.
No. Yes. I think so, but the thing is, if I get the opportunity, I would try to tell him, because obviously everything will be magnitude by this contract. I mean, because it's the largest contract. But my tip would be to him is, you earn that contract because of the way you played up until this point. So whatever you do moving forward, unfortunately, 15 years, this is probably your last contract, but whatever you do moving forward, it's gravy. So you should be in a situation where you go out and just play and have fun. And the only pressure that you should have is what you put on yourself. But, there's some expectations there, but he got to be in a situation where he can accept that expectation. Some guys can, some guys can't. And playing in New York is totally different than playing in these other places. But he had a taste playing in with the Yankees a little bit. And since he was a kid, he's always hit. But I think how do he handle adversity if he ever run across? Over 15 years, I'm sure it's going to be something there. But hopefully he don't think that he has to do something that he's not capable of doing because of the contract, or he's got to hit 50 home runs because of the contract. Just be Juan Soto is enough. Just be yourself. That's enough. The guys on the team can feed off of him. Just being there and showing up every day and ready to play, I think it's enough.
Doc, it's been a real honor and a pleasure to do this with you today. Ladies and gentlemen,
Thank you.
the doctor, Dwight Gooden.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Shout out to Keith Blacknick behind the board here, Media Goon, everybody at the QVC for doing this. Thank you, everyone.